crowds and, the people who are at events and how the athletes get into a facility and the other issues of hygiene and the like, we should be okay. I wish we were in the lower risk category, and I hope that with time we can be scaled down if we demonstrate that there is no real risk. But yeah, our athletes have been out of action. We've been encouraging them to, remain active through dryland workouts. But this is a global thing. Although we're aware that many countries are beginning to open up the sporting environment, it's happening across the globe slowly to ensure that, you don't also do it so quickly. So we hope that when it gets here, we will be ready. We've submitted extensive get back to sport guidelines. And it's not just swimming. We've got open water swimming, which is, swimming in the lakes and the rivers and the like. We also have water polo. And then, of course, we've got the office environment. So our regulations, our guidelines are comprehensive for the office environment and for the sporting environment in the different disciplines that I've mentioned.
Okay, I know... Brian, you didn't say
No, maybe after.
I know for a fact there were a couple of tournaments coming up. One in South Africa, I think, then the Dubai one later on in the year.
Yes.
Because those were supposed to aid in qualification to the Olympics and other bigger events. Where do those stand, though? Have they been postponed?
Maybe to also add on that, what has the impact been like for swimming specifically? Because everyone, I think the impact has been different depending on the sport. Football will tell you a different story from basketball, boxing. What has it been like for swimming?
Well, from a federation perspective, obviously, the calendar is on hold from a federation perspective. From the perspective of athletes, when an athlete does not exercise regularly, it wears down on them. I've seen some of our athletes, and they're not looking like they're in good shape, to be honest.
They look like Brian here.
No. If you saw me before the lockdown and now,
Brian, you're not
anyway, I
in good
don't
shape.
blame you because I'm very good shape. She doesn't understand what good shape is. She doesn't. I don't think she understands what good shape is.
Yes.
I think we should take a round around Kolo. Then you'll understand I'm in shape.
We're lucky this is ready. So.
But it's a natural consequence, really. If you're used to working out and then you take weeks, there are these dry land things that our athletes are engaging in, but they're not as intense because the swimming workout is really intense. And I don't know if any of you guys swims. I'd like to encourage you. Aisha, you are saying you swim. You want me to tell some secrets, yeah?
Good thing it's you who said. If it were me, they would say I'm a hater. So she wanted to lie, and you are here. You are the witness.
Yes, no.
I'll be very sincere.
Aisha, please keep your hand down. We don't want to go into the details.
They didn't ask for people who play in water. They asked for people who can swim.
After almost drowning in an Olympic-sized pool, I made it a point to actually learn how to swim. So
Right.
I actually can swim.
You can float.
Yeah, but the point I'm making, guys, is it's really affected some people, and we've been having talks to just encourage athletes. It has affected people psychologically, and we've had to make sure that we continuously talk to our athletes. As you know, athletes are in levels. Some are young, others are, a few years after. Some are teenagers, others are, post-teen. So they are in different categories. And in terms of professionalism, we've got those that are just starting. Then we've got those that are sort of in the middle. Then we have some that are almost getting professional. Then we have some that are nearly pro. I can't quite say that we have pro swimmers here. So in the different categories that they are mentally affected, because their expectations also are based on the events that we're planning and where they saw themselves going. So we've and again, I cannot say conclusively that some people have been badly hit, but we've had to assume that people need to be reminded continuously to maintain, to have to be mentally strengthened so that they do not, give up. For instance, if an athlete knows that they have an opportunity to go to an international event, they prepare hard to get to qualify in the local events. And I'll talk to what you asked me, Aisha, as far as the local events are concerned. The Olympics having been cancelled means that it has a knock-on effect on all these events. When the Olympics, for instance, were moved a year to 2021, it meant that all the qualifying events had to be cancelled, and that also in a sense affects our Africa events and our calendar. So it's a chain all the way that ends with the pinnacle, which is the Olympics. So in a nutshell, the impact is there. It's just that we have not been able to measure it, and as the Uganda Swimming Federation, we are starting a survey to just determine how it has affected our people, and we're continuing to work with them to ensure that people are in a good state of mind, and there's hope, really.
Maybe the other question will be, I don't know what your view is or your assessment as the Uganda Swimming Association? Federation, rather. It's not been as popular probably as many would want it to be. I mean, out there, you'd struggle to find either the information or someone knowing actually there is a more serious swimming than what we have here. Probably people think it's about you going around, enjoy yourself, have a swim and that's it, you're chilling. Why is that? Why haven't you guys done enough? Or you see it differently as the president?
Well, I have to take your view because personally I am involved in the activity. So if someone out here who is not deeply involved has that view, it's not something that we'll discount. We have tried to do publicity. We have social media handles, platforms, we have a website, we've got a marketing team, so we haven't done as much as we ought to because obviously there's some limitations. But you cannot say that people do not know about swimming.
As much as probably you think you'd want to. Personally, listen, I'll be very sincere to you.
Yes.
I don't know the last time I attended a swimming event, I'll be very sincere. But the information, is not flowing as much as you would want it to. I mean, at times it feels like there's specific people who get the info and others will not. And you see, the thing is, I don't want to make myself very important, but the fact that probably I don't, then there should be very many. Because this is my job, I should be getting. If I'm not, then there should be very many people who are not getting the information.
No, you're right, Brian. Like I said, for me, I would like to take this in good stead. If there's someone who doesn't have information about us, it means that there's some work to do. So that's not a problem at all. But I know that from a journalistic point of view, we really engage with journalists. And I think, as Aisha will tell you here, I don't know why she's keeping quiet. She has, by the way, Aisha has all the information. Some people think she's a member of the Uganda Swimming Federation.
Yeah, she keeps her information.
So
I think
now,
she's going to send it somewhere.
Aisha, can you at least defend us here?
I think she's going to send it somewhere one day.
What she feels, I cannot feel because I don't feel that way because I get all the information.
And she's
so
doing a very bad job for you people.
Yeah.
You have been here for how long? Have you ever heard us talk about swimming?
But Brian, I should say that our office, by the way,
It's
is
just
a walking
here.
distance from here.
Yeah.
You continue to Cementi, and our office is just right up there. But
now
the point I'm making
Can
is
you
that,
imagine? Now, at the work here, I'll be every day.
the point I'm making is that I think we need to do more work. We have got, and I think, let me tell you, to be honest, I know that there's specific journalists who are interested in specific sports.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
We've got specific people that write about swimming, specific people that talk about it, but I think we need to go out and make sure that as many people get the information. And even how they organize themselves. They've got specific groups that are for football, are for swimming. That's the truth. I think we need to break through those barriers so that information can flow more freely. But as far as these other, the usual communication methods are there, we've got a website. It's up to date. Swimming is always reported about in the newspapers. If you check a sport that is always active and ensuring that people know what we're doing, we're very deliberate on ensuring that we have our events covered.
The other thing I was going to ask, so how do you go about the challenges of probably getting Uganda to a level where they can compete at international? So because we're ready to be sincere to handicap, because you're competing with people from the US, from Europe. They have access to swimming pools, world-class swimming pools. They've got facilities that they need to.
Right.
Now, for a fact, I know that swimming is a sport where you practically have to start doing that from a very early age. Okay, all sport.
That's right.
So if you don't, and even at the later stage, you have to struggle to find swimming pools, facilities, and stuff like that. It becomes a real problem. So how do you overcome such challenges? We wake up one day and say, you know what? Maybe we are quite optimistic because the biggest name that in the last couple of years that has been talked about is Jamila. So how do we wake up and we've got a couple of other Jamilas, but also they can go there and try and compete.
Brian, finally, I'm glad that you can identify a swimmer. and as Aisha said, I thought you'd say Kirao. Jamila was last on the scene in the Rio Olympics, so it's a good thing that you still remember her.
No, I don't know. That's why I said the last couple of years, I'll tell you, sir, if you went around here, yes, Chiramo is, because I think the last USP, when we were going to award, I think the name came around a lot.
Yes.
But if you went around, I think for anybody who has followed swimming,
Jamila.
There are two names probably now. They will say Chirabo and Jamila, but first will be Jamila.
You're right. Jamila has...
You have to add Maktoum.
Because it's our but I do want to say Maktoum's name. You are the man to get me wrong.
We have to fix him somewhere.
No, but Brian, I think your assessment is correct. Jamila has done, has represented us at 2 Olympic events. She has done almost 4 World Championships before you add these other regional ones and national. So I think as far as swimming is concerned, there's no bigger name than Jamila. So you're right for the females. But the question you asked is loaded, Brian. And it's, I would like to know how to tackle it. These sports, these elite sports, some of them, I don't think they were intended for Africans, so you need to start from there.
Actually, you say Uganda especially.
Well,
Africa,
so the history of how people have been engaging in these sports, clearly they found us here. Even football, much as we may be excelling and the like. So the fact that we're participating, you need to recognize what it takes to groom an athlete before they're elite and they can compete. I think on average it would take between 15 to 18 years to have an athlete to be fully to mature. So if you've been swimming for 15 years and then you are at that level, then you need to understand again what it takes to have that athlete groomed. Most countries have got what's called a long-term athlete development plan, and we are also developing one. That plan tells you how the athlete should be nurtured, right from learn to swim, or the people that are just getting into the water, into the intermediate stage, into the stage where they're about to become semi-pro, and then they go pro. So these things don't happen by mistake. First of all, for Uganda, we've come a long, long way. The fact that we've been able to organize the sport so that clubs can, increase, schools can swim, both at secondary and primary level, including universities. So to that extent, there is some work that has been done. But as far as athlete development is concerned and coaches development, there is a lot of work to do. So we are putting in place the mechanisms that allow us to be able to compete at that level. And it's also a function of how you organize yourself and the investments you put in. You mentioned facilities. Obviously, if you don't have a facility of your own, you'll have some challenges. But even without the facilities, we are very close to hitting qualifying times. Swimming has got what's called the B time and the A time. When you hit an A time, you qualify automatically to participate in particular events. For instance, let me give you a practical example. For 50 free, you need to do at least 22.1 seconds for 50 meters.
You said 50 free to Brian, it's 50 free, but okay.
50 meters of freestyle in an Olympic size pool.
I'm not. Go ahead, deal with this one.
No, but
yes.
let's go for a break. When
Right.
you return, in this break, please explain to Brian 50 free.
Sure.
Then when we return, we can start from there.
Sure.